fastest, the boldest, the most extreme mountain bikers on the planet. Riders on the edge of disaster. A race where legends are made. 2 at a time, head to head. Riders utilizing gravity, pure speed, endurance, and strategy. Strive to win mountain biking's most outrageous event. From Mammoth Mountain, California, it's the Reebok Eliminator. Brought to you by Reebok, who reminds you that on Planet Reebok, there are no limits. And presented by Mountain Dew. The morning light is dawning on the high Sierras for one of the world's great sporting events. Hello again, everybody. I'm Peter Graves, happy to be with you at the Reebok Eliminator mountain bike race at Mammoth Lakes, California. You know, this is an incredible event. Speeds of 60 miles an hour for our competitors as they careen down. I'm standing at 11,000 feet with Dave Cullinan, the former champion of this event. And Cully, I gotta ask you, why does somebody do this, and how do you do well in a competition like this?
Well, Peter, the keys to winning the Reebok Eliminator are simple. There's 2 major factors. One is going to be endurance. A rider's going to have to make several runs down the hill against a competitor with a lot of sprinting. And second is knowing your competitor, knowing who you're going up against and what type of rider he is. Is someone that you think you can beat at the top of the mountain and lead him all the way to the bottom, or are you going to try to beat him right before the finish?
The sides are just like falling off the World Trade Center. It is awesome. Cully, who's going to be good in this competition? Who do we look for in the men?
Well, in the men's class, we're going to have 2 favorites. I think Myles Rockwell, the returning champion, and also the World Cup champion from last year, Jürgen Benecke, are both here. Both are going extremely fast.
All right, and how about the women's competition, world class?
Women's competition is going to be a little simpler. Kim Saunier has been so dominant, I got to go with Kim. But there's a strong European contingent with Italians Giovanna Bonanzi and Germany's Martinez. It's going to be a good event.
And here's a look at the early rounds of competition.
Well, last year the race was an unknown for me, so I just sort of kicked ass, not knowing what to do in each round. This year I kind of know what I'm supposed to do, so it's more nerve-wracking.
The early round of 32 separated the men of today from only the hopefuls. Some of the interesting matchups included last year's surprise star, England's Jason McCroy, who's known for his attacking style. But Darren Henderson and a blown-out rear wheel ended his hopes for glory.
Strategy is going to come big towards the end, so we'll see who's got the brains and the legs.
Ready? This year's field is spiced with international stars, and Spain's Tommy Misser stayed just ahead of national downhill champ Greg Herbold to advance.
He's really fast in some sections, really fast, but I want to work him. He's a good guy to ride with, too.
Iron Horse's Toby Henderson drew the crowd-favorite Earthquake Jake Watson from Team Marin, and perhaps it was the experience of the veteran Henderson that made the difference this day. In the men's round of 16, we saw Schwinn's Chris O'Driscoll edge out a win in a close match with Kelly Lee aboard his Yeti. And Eric Palmquist, riding a foe's downhill bike, had to squeeze by Specialized rider Todd Tanner. Head-to-head, you take your chances, and sometimes you go down.
I come around the turn, and I pass Todd. He sees me, looks over, he just goes like that, bumps me out of the way. I had the inside turn, he takes me, he puts me in the hay bales, and then it's unbelievable.
By the time Todd Tanner finds his bike, Eric Palmquist has advanced to the next round. The women's competition began with 16 of the top downhill riders in the world. Last year's Reebok Eliminator champ and pre-race favorite Kim Saunier drew KHS's Sherry Elliott in the first round, but had mechanical problems.
I'm really disappointed. You know, after winning the Kamikaze, I thought I had a good chance of winning this thing today. And, you know, this is the first time I've ever gotten out in the first round. It's kind of painful.
Perhaps the most interesting matchup was between 2 of the top international downhillers. Last year's Reebok Eliminator runner-up, Regina Stiefel, and Italy's Giovanna Bonazzi. Both are incredibly strong, but the dual format adds the challenge of head-to-head competition to an already fast course. And it was Stiefel who continued her winning way. The Reebok Eliminator course is just plain scary. You just can't imagine how frightening it can be. To give us a closer look, here's the 92 Reebok Eliminator champion, Dave Cullinan.
As the gate pops open, acceleration is maybe a bit of a problem with those 62 chain rings, but that's going to change here in a second. You're going to come to a big drop-off, a blind left-hand corner that you got to stay in the groove. Swing out wide, it's going to be gravel for breakfast. Scotty's turn, heavy braking here and then back up to speed, sprinting up as fast as you can. If you're drafting your rider, one problem is going to be is you can't see blind potholes such as this Jimmy Kite in 92 trying to pass me. Through the speed trap, our riders come into a series of blind switchbacks, left and right-hand corners, followed by a real tough right-hand corner leaving this. If you got to stay inside, you get out wide in the sand, all you're going to do is crash. On the freeway section now, off the big drop-off, this is where a rider's really going to think about where to win the race. He's got a choice. He's going to make the push now or save it for the last corner. The racing is tight and so is the competition. If you're lucky enough to make it out of this corner alive, then it's a mad sprint to the finish line.
And they're awful happy to get there. An amazing course. Men's quarterfinal matchups like this. Benke versus O'Driscoll, Gachet, Henderson, Lopes, Palmquist, and Albert Eiton versus Myles Rockwell. From the top, Schwinn's Chris O'Driscoll's hopes of staying in front of the downhill World Cup champion, the German Jürgen Benke, are left in a hay bale above Scotty's turn. O'Driscoll is out and very disappointed. In order to advance, it's the combined differential of two heats at the finish. Now for the first of two runs, Toby Henderson and the Frenchman Francois Gachet. Francois goes on to beat Henderson in the first match. Match number two, Toby Henderson putting the heat on Francois at the top, trying to force a mistake. For the moment at least, Francois is French toast.
That time he messed up at the top. I had a good lead on him, but in the flat, he just had more energy than me and pulled me, caught me up. I thought I had him, but it was by a 1/10 of a second, so.
Henderson doesn't have enough. Gachet advances. Then it was up to the next pair, Brian Lopes and Eric Palmquist, to provide the drama. Dicing it up on the course. Brian Lopes pacing, waiting to make his move. Now in a supercharged sprint, Brian Lopes and Palmquist coming to this frightening crash. Both riders going down in graphic proof of how treacherous the Eliminator can be.
I really don't know what happened. I thought I had the lead, and then I looked back, and then me and Brian were just like, you know, doing circles. I didn't even know what happened. Coming all over the place.
You got a big gash in your knee right here. What happened there?
A few inches. You can probably see the bone right there.
Sure can. Myles Rockwell and Albert Eiton, a Swiss rider. Their first run down the mountainside. And they were primed for a major battle. Myles Rockwell jumps to the early lead, screams around Scotty's corner. But then a problem. Albert Eiton goes by him. Rockwell fighting with his chain. And as Albert Eiton pulls by, Rockwell must somehow find a way to get the chain back on.
I lost my chain. I got these special chain devices which don't really allow me to get the chain back on, so I kind of stuck my finger in the chain ring, and I thought it was all over, but I guess I just put together a really good run.
Now the second run, Myles Rockwell, Albert Eiton again. And as the defending champion of this event, Myles Rockwell looks back and knows what he has to do. He's got to make up time. Myles had to make up more than a 7-second deficit to be the comeback kid. And the Swiss rider, Albert Eiton, is nowhere to be seen. Myles Rockwell advances. Women's quarterfinal pairings look like this. Sherry Elliott, Penny Davidson, Switzerland's Rita Berge and Cindy Devine, Anne Chazon, France versus Cindy Whitehead, and Regina Stiefel up against Susan DeBynes. At the top, a pair of California women, Sherry Elliott and Penny Davidson. Penny Davidson jumps out to an early lead. Penny's skill is the difference in the first heat. In heat number 2, she just needs to stay close to Sherry Elliott.
There's no other event that has such adrenaline or the risk so big.
With all her BMX experience, Sherry Elliott is prepared to risk everything. But it's not enough to overtake Penny D's advantage. At the top, another run. Cindy Devine, the talented Canadian, against the Swiss rider, Rita Berkey. On the drop, Cindy likes to use drafting to time her move at the finish.
Drafting is something I'm going to try to get myself to do, to feel comfortable in letting myself go behind someone and know that I could maybe slingshot past them, just like they are going to plan to do with me.
This time, the magic works. The slingshot propels Cindy Devine past Berkey and into the semifinals.
This is the most endurance-oriented mountain bike race for downhillers because we usually just do 1 or 2 runs and we don't go back to the top again and again and again and again and again and again.
And again and again, the battle between Cindy Whitehead, this time with a young French woman, 17-year-old Anne-Caroline Chelson. Chelson will have to keep close to Cindy, who takes the first heat win. Second run, Chelson charges hard, but the veteran Cindy Whitehead retains her time advantage. Chelson will not spoil Cindy Whitehead's homecoming. And for the 3rd straight year, Cindy Whitehead advances into the semifinals. And at the top, the Stiefel chase is on. Regina Stiefel, the former member of the German ski team, goes up against Winter Park, Colorado's Susan DeBias. In the first heat, Susan DeBias stays close. But in the second run, Susan needs to pass Regina, but she's too powerful. Regina makes herself as wide as possible to prevent Susan from sneaking by.
She had a great start both runs, and she made absolutely no mistakes on the way down, and was really smart in the sprint, kind of pushed me over, and I just couldn't get past her.
I think it's a little bit too more risk. I go in front and I make my speed limit, and yeah, on the finish I go fast.
And fast Regina Stiefel moves on to the semifinals. Coming up next, we'll be back. This pro racing tip is brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Right now we're on the more technical part of this course. This is Scotty's turn, the first major tactical area on the Kamikaze. The riders are coming off one of the fastest parts of the course into a 25-mile-per-hour turn. A decision here is going to be made. Should the rider try to break the gap and lead the rider all the way to the finish, or is he going to wait and make us move later in the course?
The 4 survivalists in the women's semifinals. Cindy Devine up against Penny Davidson, Regina Stiefel versus Cindy Whitehead. And now the women's semifinals. Cindy Devine, Penny Davidson should be a great match. At the start house now, a moment of pressure, but they're on course. And David, as we look at this match between these 2 veterans, who is the aggressor here?
Well, I definitely think it's going to be on Penny Davidson's side. She is more of the aggressive of the 2, and Cindy Devine right now is just going to try to stay close.
Penny Davidson, 5th place last year at the World Championships in the downhill and Meta-BA, and not a bad performance for Cindy Devine, the toughest nails Canadian. She was 9th in France last year, too.
Well, all that's aside, Penny Davidson looked back and saw that Cindy Devine made a big mistake, so she's off to the races. Right now, Penny saw that mistake, and she's going to give it everything she has to see if she can hold her off to the finish.
And Penny out far enough that the drafting that Cindy Devine likes just simply doesn't work right now.
You can't draft Peter when you're that far back.
And coming down to the cheers of the crowd right now, Penny Davidson, who used to live here at Mammoth Lakes, California, looks like she's got this one wrapped up. And she does. Her time advantage over Cindy Devine, 1.13 seconds. And on this lovely day, we move on to the women's semifinals, Heat 1. Cindy Whitehead, Regina Stiefel. Regina out of Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Germany. Cindy Whitehead, the local gal. Here we go. It's a good, clean start. And Regina Stiefel looks like she's launched out of a rocket out of there, Dave.
Regina does have the power, but there goes Cindy Whitehead, showing you why she's one of the bravest women on the Northern National Circuit.
The hardest part of the course for me are the top hairpin turns. Last year I slid out in one of them, and so basically I'd say that's the hardest part. The easiest part usually is sticking with the other rider. If you lose them, then it's very hard.
But today she made it through the corner cleanly. Cindy Whitehead on a dazzling run right now, still in the lead, and look at the power.
Off the jump, Peter, she looks back, looks to the left, and on the right, here comes Regina, showing you her awesome power. Cindy cannot keep up with that speed.
The kind of cadence we're looking at, Dave, is indicative of the fact that she is in terrific condition right now.
Yeah, Peter, right now she's just trying to grab a quick breath of fresh air before she makes her last 2 final straightaways into the finish line. Going through the gears, getting her speed back up, and really wearing out Cindy Whitehead.
And at the finish, the legs are burning with lactic acid, but Regina Stiefel does not let up. Regina, the advantage of 1.69. Now on to the men's semifinals. Well, Myles Rockwell can get a break up on top. Eric Palmquist is injured, so Myles gets the bye. Other semifinal match will pair Frenchman Francois Gachet against the German Jürgen Benke.
As we prepare for the start, looks like Francois Gachet is having some problems with his bike. They're ripping cables off. Something's wrong. We can't tell it just yet, but he's late. He might even miss the start of this race as Beneke is already waiting for him.
And this is not the way you want to start a race like this one, Dave.
Oh, not at all. The pressure is building. Now they're getting ready to take off. He's ripping stuff off. Uh-oh, Peter, he has got no rear derailleur. He is in his hardest gear the entire way down.
And now pushing down this course, the German Jürgen Benke, that will give no quarter to the Frenchman Francois Gachet on this course today that is unforgiving.
Jürgen right now is going for the throat. He knows that he has a huge advantage over Francois with that mechanical problem, so Jürgen right now is going to use this to his advantage.
Stretching out his lead right now, the German Jürgen Benke, who used to play professional hockey, is carrying the speed very well around Scotty's turn.
Right now, Jürgen Beneke is able to shift down into an easier gear and sprint away, while Francois is just stuck in that massively hard gear.
And look at the course, literally strewn with obstacles that could puncture a tire at any moment.
It's fast and it's bumpy sometimes. It's in the first part, it's pretty easy to flat because there are some big rocks, and you need a little bit luck to go down without a flat tire.
Luck definitely on Jürgen's side today. I mean, he's out there styling off the jumps. He knows that Francois is having a tough time keeping up with him with that bike only having one rear gear, and what he's doing right now is wearing out Francois.
You know, Cully, it's very interesting to me because these two guys have very distinctly similar riding styles. They're both straightforward, powerful riders.
Exactly. It's almost like racing yourself, and for this to happen to Francois is just such a disappointment, and Jürgen is just so relieved because this takes so much pressure off him on this very deciding first run.
Jürgen Benke now coming down to the crowd, who is just savoring this terrific international event here at Mammoth Mountain. And now comes Benke, Gachet behind, who can't keep up with the gearing. And Benke will take this first run with the advantage 1.34. Myles Rockwell catches his breath, so will we. We'll be back with more of the Eliminator.
Titanium, carbon fiber, metal matrix, dual suspension, disc brakes, 60-tooth chain rings. What does all this mean? Let's find out.
Red course ready. Blue course ready.
The riders contribute greatly when they come back after each ride. We're continually testing and redesigning parts.
I'm using 60-11, and that's about 40 feet per revolution.
Thermoplastic matrix carbon fiber swing arm.
FFS, fastest front shifting, grip shift.
It's a 15mm diameter wide axle. Gives 3 times the amount of surface contact.
Air sprung, hydraulically dampened rear suspension.
My secret weapon is my Agitech Pro Shock on the front end.
The sweet spot.
Coda Magic CRC machined crank.
Chain tensioner.
Clipless pedal system.
In layman's terms, it means that we're able to go faster than ever before.
And faster at the Reebok Eliminator means very, very fast indeed. Semifinals for the women coming up. Penny Davidson going up against the Canadian Cindy Devine. Penny carries from the first run an advantage of 1.13 seconds. Here we go, Dave. A very important matchup right now. Penny Davidson, the very great technical rider. Cindy Devine, really a power rider.
Well, the first run we saw Penny Davidson get off to an early lead and be the aggressor. I think the second time down, Cindy Devine is going to have to be the aggressor. She's down 1.1 seconds, so she's really going to have to put it to Penny in the second run.
That's right. Right now, she's got to make her move. There is no tomorrow right now for Cindy Devine. She jumps into the lead.
Right now, Penny Davidson just watching her, keeping an eye on Cindy, making sure she doesn't get too big of a lead on her.
This is where Penny Davidson seems to be so dangerous, such a fine rider. She can get right into that draft and hang on. Right now, I think Cindy Devine has simply got a loser.
Well, exactly. Cindy Devine's going to have to try to outride her because Cindy is a little bit stronger than Penny, and she's a little bit bigger gal, so Penny's just going to give it everything she has just to stay on her wheel.
But Cindy Devine right now trying to dig down deep, David, as deep as she has ever gone before. Will it be enough?
You know, right now, Cindy Devine knows that she's got to beat Penny by 1 second or more. She's giving it everything she has, and Penny's just trying to keep her close.
But she can't shake Penny loose. She'll come up with a victory, but it's not by enough of a margin. Davidson will advance. Into our next semifinal run right now. This will determine who will go up against Penny Davidson. Cindy Whitehead, the local gal, and the German champion, Regina Stiefel. On course right now, there's a lot of pressure on Cindy Whitehead, David, but I gotta ask you, she knows the course, she's a local gal. Is that not an advantage?
Well, I think she has a big advantage in knowing the course, Peter, but the problem is Regina is just so powerful. Cindy, you can see right there, is so gutsy at the top. Really gets out to a big lead, but she knows on the power section at the bottom of the course, Regina is going to be there.
She's got to let it hang out right now on a track that is absolutely alive with danger. Cindy Whitehead has got to ride right on the edge, really facing disaster if she wants to taste the brilliance today.
Exactly. I mean, she's just going to give it all she has in hopes that she can force one of those costly mistakes out of her competitor. But as they come into the power section right here, she's giving it everything she has, and she knows that Regina's coming.
All right, Cindy Whitehead right now pedaling for all it's worth, but it's not going to be enough as Regina Stiefel gets ready to make a move. She has passed her right now. That's going to be so tough for her to come back from. Remember, Regina had a 1.69 second advantage.
Cindy right now is just trying to figure out a way to get by her. She knows that Regina does have more power, and she is behind, but she actually knows she's even further behind because of Regina's 1.6 second advantage. She's hoping for a mistake. It's not going to happen. Regina waving her fist. She knows she's going on to the finals.
Now you're in the finals. I know we can't see that big smile, but it's there. You're happy, right?
Yeah, I'm so happy.
What about fatigue now? Are you tired?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm this morning. I hope I have the power for the next race, for the #1.
All right, ready to go up to two gentlemen with a lot of power, Jürgen Beneke and Francois Cachet. Ready to go with his second run. Very important because the pressure right now, David, is on the Frenchman. He had those equipment problems in the first run.
Francois got that derailleur fixed, and he knows that he has got a big advantage to make up on Jürgen, but it's possible. A lot of the riders have gone down in later parts of the course, and Francois is flying.
Look at him carry that speed around. This guy's riding like a man possessed right now.
He knows he can do it. All he has to do is force Jürgen into one mistake, and he's going to be in the finals. If Jürgen's just going to be smart enough to not let that happen, though.
He's got to shake Jürgen Beneke loose somewhere. If he's going to do it, he's got to do it up here on this technical section.
And you can tell both these riders look like they're cut from the same stone, except Jürgen right now is styling it up a little bit for the cameras. Francois has just got so much power.
He's trying to break away. Can he do it, David, now?
Francois knows it's still in his grasp. He could be in the finals. All he has to do is ride a perfect race from here on out. Beneke's on his tail. Right now, the thoughts going through Francois' mind is, does he have enough power to hold the German off to the finish line?
Dave, they've had so many runs all day long in the heat and at altitude. Dehydration is a factor. This is incredibly difficult.
By the look of Francois, Peter, he looks like that first run really might have spent too much money of his. He looks really tired. He looks like he's just trying to hold off Beneke, but right there, Beneke's showing you a wheel, showing Francois that he is there and that he wants to make it into the finals.
Certainly the crowd appreciates these great performances today, but this is the time of day when you need it most and you tend to run out of groceries.
Well, here comes Francois coming into the finish line. Jürgen Beneke wants to keep him in sight, and he knows that he's going to be getting it onto the finals. We're here with a very tired Jürgen Benecke, who's in the finals. Jürgen, how's it feel?
What do you say, tired? I think my second name is Tired now, and I'm happy when I did it. There are 2 more runs to go, and I have to concentrate me, and it's hard to motivate for every run.
Penny Davidson takes the easy way to the top, and we'll be back with the women's finals in just a moment. Stay with us. This pro racing tip is brought to you by Mountain Dew.
When approaching the Reebok drop-off, the riders got 2 things in mind. They want to keep their bike low while keeping their speeds up. They want to be on the ground as soon as possible so they can already start to continue pedaling.
Standing by with Missy Giove down here at the finish line. Missy, first of all, it's been a tough weekend for you. I know you're pretty banged up from going off a small cliff the other day.
Yeah, I got a front flat going 50 and went off a cliff in practice, but that's part of it.
Okay. Let's talk about this women's final competition. Should be good. 2 really different styles, right?
Yeah, very different. Regina Stifel's strength is her fitness, and Penny Davidson's strength is her handling skills, and they're going to be leading on different parts of the course. And I think we'll see a sprint to the finish down here because it's going to be tough. They're going to be both motoring, both going, maxing out, going 100%.
All right, get feeling better, miss. Thanks for talking to us. We're going to go up to the top for the dramatic conclusion of the women's event.
Oh, Regina, no way.
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Good luck. Good luck, Regina.
Coming up now, the women's finals. Penny Davidson, Regina Stiefel. Should be a terrific matchup. 2 very different styles. Ready to go. Here we go, the first run of the finals. Penny Davidson, quite frankly, Dave, has to get a lead right here on the tough, tricky technical section. The course, almost 4 miles long.
Well, Penny knows that Regina's strong point is going to be the lower part of the course, the power section. Her goal is to get a big lead at the top in hopes that Regina will not be able to catch her.
Internationally, Penny Davidson really is one of the best bike handlers. She's got to let it run right here. She's got to make a move. She's not doing it yet. Regina's still in control of the race.
I think she's just playing it nice and cautious, Peter, waiting for the part of the course where she can stretch a lead, maybe coming out of one of the sections, applying a little bit of quickness versus Regina's power.
When you slice through the wind like this, as you watch Penny make a move, you're oblivious to everything else in the world.
Coming into Scotty's corner, Penny made her move right there in hopes that maybe she could kind of sprint away from Regina and get a little bit of a lead in hopes to hold her off to the finish line.
One of the tricky turns in this course right now, Penny Davidson is through it cleanly, Regina Stiefel as well, but Penny is building up the lead. That's what she's got to do now. Aerodynamic, low, and really right on the edge.
Penny, having her advantage of being a better technical rider, knows that Regina's going to have to pedal harder to keep up with her. And this little strategy is just to hope that she can wear Regina out for that tough flat section coming up.
Penny Davidson now coming through the straightaway. Very fast, very fit, looking over her shoulder. In this area, you could reach speeds of more than 50 miles an hour.
Now they're coming on through the chicane right here, and this is Penny Davidson looking back. She sees that Regina is still behind her. Watch the speed through this corner.
They are flying through here. Penny Davidson still in the lead, kicking up all that dust right now. That can't be helpful. That's got to really hurt your vision too, Dave.
Well, that's the advantage of being in front, Peter. You get a clean course, you get to see all the bumps. When you're in back, you get dust kind of in your way. It's really tough to pick out all those braking bumps.
Certainly Penny Davidson knows that Regina is very close behind, and while Penny's in the lead, she hasn't been able to drop her.
Well, Peter, I can see Penny looking down a lot at her bike. Maybe there's something wrong, and as she approaches the jump right here,
this is where it could be trouble. Well, she's okay, but she loses that pedaling power.
I mean, she has been looking down. There's either something wrong with the bike or that she's tired, or maybe she just knows that Regina is coming on strong.
The fatigue, late in the day, breaks of concentration. Regina Stiefel is going to take it now as she makes a move around that corner. Penny Davidson now in second place. The pressure is on her right now.
As they come around this corner, Peter, is a big flat section with a little uphill in it, and that's where the power is really going to be turned on by Regina. Penny is giving it everything she has to keep her in her sights.
Remember, Regina Stiefel is also a very fine cross-country competitor on a mountain bike, too. She's extremely fit. Penny Davidson this year has ridden mostly downhill.
And right now, Peter, she's got only one straightaway left before the final turn, She has got to let it all hang out, but there is something wrong with her bike. She's looking down. Regina Stiefel is not looking back, though.
No question about it. Regina Stiefel coming to the finish line right now with what looks like the victory. This has been a fine performance for Penny, despite the pedaling problem.
And Regina's going to take it by 1.1 seconds.
Okay, another great race, Penny, but that time just coming up a little bit short.
Yeah, you know, we each have our own strengths, and they're kind of opposite, and I have a little trouble in the power sections coming out of my pedal. Regina's really powerful. I think I've got her on the technical. We'll see if we can have everything go right.
We'll see you in the final race.
Finals are up next. Reebok Eliminator. Go hard or go home.
This Pro Race Tip is brought to you by Mountain Dew.
This is it. This is the most crucial point of the race. This is where a rider has to make a decision of when they're going to win it. They've got 45 seconds to go to the finish. They've got to make their move here.
After so many runs today, it has come down to this, the finals for the men. And Cully, it is a dramatic finals between an American and a German rider.
Well, basically, it's a tale of two champions. We've got Jürgen Benecke, the World Cup champion, Myles Rockwell, our returning Reebok Eliminator champion. I think it's going to be an awesome final.
Ready for a hold?
Awesome final indeed. Our defending champion, Myles Rockwell, and the German, Jürgen Benecke. And from the top of Mammoth Mountain, 11,000 feet, takes courage just to look down for a lot of people. Myles Rockwell, well, does he have the legs right now? We'll see. He comes out to a very quick start.
Looked like Jürgen Benecke got hung up in the gate, and Myles got that hole shot he wants, and he's going to stretch it out. He's going to give everything he has in hopes that Jürgen is going to make a mistake.
Myles Rockwell really wants to keep that medal in the United States this year, but the German is going to give him one heck of a battle. There's no doubt about it. Jürgen Benecke has been extremely strong in the World Cup circuit this year.
Well, this is what we talk about drafting, and this is it at its best. Jürgen is just simply coasting behind Myles, who is a big guy at 6'3", makes a lot of wind at resistance, and that's what Jürgen is hoping for, just to coast behind Myles so he doesn't get too far away from him.
Even when they're coasting, Dave, they're hitting speeds of more than 50 miles an hour, and as they set up for Scotty's turn, heavy braking right there, but Rockwell carries the speed so well.
Both those guys took that turn almost near perfect, and Myles right now is just kind of relaxing, knowing that Jürgen is going to be tough to shake. Maybe he's going to have to make his move later in the race.
And that apparently is what Myles' strategy is all about.
My strategy is going to be go out hard. If I can get out in front, I'm just going to keep the hammer down and I'm not going to look back. And if someone's right on my wheel, I'm just going to relax and I'm going to let them eat my dust the whole way. And if they want to come around me, that's going to be their risk.
Jürgen Benecke is having a tough time getting around Myles right now, but he's got to do it sometime because Myles Rockwell right now is setting a blistering pace.
I think Myles right now is just letting it all hang out, forcing Jürgen into making some sort of a mistake. Both these guys are power riders, except I think Myles is kind of the rider that's going to let it more hang out in the corners.
The gauntlet is down right now. Myles Rockwell setting a pace. It is super fast. Benecke having trouble there through that section, putting the foot down a little bit. Every time you touch, you break your speed a little bit. Myles Rockwell looking fine.
When Myles looked back coming out of that corner, I know he was hoping for more of a lead on Jürgen, and Jürgen is so strong through this area, Myles is going to have to kind of wait and hope to play something out the bottom. He's looking for him, and now he's found him, and he sees that he's right on his wheel.
And Dave, this is a cat and mouse game right now. Rockwell turning around, checking. What's going on here?
Well, you can see that Myles is just so much bigger than Jürgen. He's just making a lot of the easy win for Jürgen to be coasting through, and he's not making Jürgen work hard enough, and he wants Jürgen to work hard in order to make him tired.
Taking advantage of that berm right now, it's almost like Rockwell is saying, come on, Jürgen, you get into the lead, you take it.
You know, Jürgen knows that he's going to have to make a pass on Myles right here coming down this corner on the power section to get by Myles for the small downhill with the 2 turns left to go.
And this is probably the most strategic match that we've had all day long. Now, it looks like Benecke is in the lead. Benecke has taken the lead.
And he's out of the saddle sprinting, really putting it down to Myles. Myles was tired. He was trying to just hold him off, keep him behind him, but Jürgen got away and has got a big lead, and Myles can't stay in his draft because the lead is too big.
But ironically, it was Rockwell that had a bye earlier in the day. He had a break. Benke's been going all day long.
You know, Myles has been taking it easy in those semifinals while Jürgen was up there battling with Francois. And Jürgen just has a little bit left at the finish line. He knows that he had a perfect race and beat Myles in his own game. And that win's going to give Jürgen Beneke an advantage of 1.1 seconds going into the second run.
I know you respect this guy a great deal. What are you going to try to do, though, this next run?
Basically, I can't really say. I mean, he's standing right here, so it's a secret. But I'm going to go out and ride as aggressive as I can. I'm not going to hold back. I'm just going to do everything I can. Basically, it's going to be crazy.
All right. How about it, Jürgen? Is crazy the right word?
It is totally right, because I won the first one about a few seconds. I don't know how much, but I want to be as close as I can to him, and I won't let him go.
So the European champ has it cooking in California, and the women's final run next. Mammoth Mountain is really an American success story. If you build a ski lift, they will come. And they've been skiing here since the 1930s.
I wanted to go skiing, and I had friends that liked to trek into the mountains, and we got kind of tired of hiking, and we just built little portable lifts and put them on toboggans and put them wherever we want, and that's how it really started.
This is a mountain that lives up to its name with 11,053-foot top elevation and 3,500 skiable acres. It gets an average of 335 inches of snowfall every winter. When the snow finally melts, Mammoth transforms into the world-famous mountain bike park and home of the race that began it all almost 10 years ago, the infamous Kamikaze.
We got hitting speeds of 40 to 50 miles an hour, and we got so many people enjoying that, we just made a small race out of it, and that got so much attention that we just had to grow, and Kamikaze, I guess, is make it or bust.
This playground in the Eastern Sierras has become a year-round destination for thrill seekers and families alike.
There's just a lot of fun at Mammoth. That's our motto. We're not the biggest, we're not the greatest, but we have more fun than anybody.
Coming up to the women's finals, Regina Stiefel, the German, has a 1.11 second advantage after heat number 1. It should be a terrific matchup. All the marbles on the line for the women's finals. With two contrasting styles in this event, if Penny Davidson is going to come up with the victory, she's got to do it right from the top, Dave.
You know, Peter, I thought the first run, her strategy was perfect. She wanted to get out to an early lead and try to stretch that lead at the top and force Regina into a mistake. And that's what she's going to try to do here again in the second run.
A long afternoon. They have been pedaling a lot. Not only endurance comes into question about the body, but also of the bike as well.
You can see that Penny has a big lead, but that's not going to last.
You know, we each have our own strengths, and they're kind of opposite, and I have a little trouble in the power sections coming out of my pedal. Regina's really powerful. I think I've got her on the technical. We'll see if we can have everything go right.
It is on that section that Penny Davidson has to make a move. Time is all that matters now. Lost seconds, lost pedaling can cost you a win.
Penny looks really smooth coming into Scotty's turn, Peter. She's just going to keep her speed up in hopes that Regina makes a mistake right here.
Watch that bobble right there. Costly. Penny Davidson, who is so strong in those technical sections, has got to make up the time there.
And this is that flat section where Regina really turns on the power. She is really going to put some time up on Penny Davidson right now.
Strong, powerful. That is the trademark of the German champion, Regina Stiefel, who now is putting Penny Davidson in second place. Remember, Stiefel has the advantage of 1.11 seconds.
You know, that's not a big problem for Penny because she is the 1993 women's downhill champion. She's not too worried about it. She knows that if she wants to win, she can near the bottom.
And like Stiefel, a former ski racer.
I think Penny's strategy may have switched. Maybe Penny wants to follow Regina all the way down to the flat section and let Regina pull her along in hopes to make a slingshot pass near the finish.
Trying to get in the draft right now, but what she's getting is a mouthful of dust.
Regina's really kicking up the dust through that section. The course looks really dry, and Penny better get a lot closer, otherwise she's gonna have a tough time seeing.
She's beginning to lose contact now. That is critical. Penny Davidson has got to hang on to that rear wheel.
Coming into that fast technical section, this is where Penny can really gain on Regina. As you can see right there, she has already closed the gap on this fast technical section.
She is closing the gap now. She is getting closer. Regina Stiefel must know Penny Davidson is charging.
Here she comes, Peter. Her goal right now is just to stay with Regina on this power section right here. This is the flat section that's gonna hurt Penny the most if she tries to press too hard.
Now this is a rivalry between pedalers right now. Regina Stiefel, now when she can pump those cranks hard, begins to move away again. She goes off the bump smoothly.
Well, that's what she wants to do, Peter. She wants to keep that lead, and all Penny wants to do is have her block that win so she can make a slingshot move later on.
Regina is so strong, enormous strength in her quadricep muscles, very powerful. This is where she's making the time right now. Penny Davidson has got to make a move. She's got to pass her.
She's very relaxed, Peter. She looks like a cat getting ready to pounce. She knows if she could stay with Regina to the top of this hill, she can make her move and hopefully get a big gap going into the finish line turn.
At every turn, Penny Davidson looks for an opportunity, seeking for a way to get around Regina Stiefel. But there isn't one. She's got to make the move soon.
Right now, if Penny Davidson's plan is going to work, she has to get by Regina in this last corner. And here she goes. She is going inside. She is going to try to block Regina out, and she does it. She definitely made the right move right there, Peter.
But will it be enough time? She's got a lot of time to make up right now. Penny Davidson in the lead, but she's got to put the hammer down if she's going to do it.
Here comes Regina to the inside. Penny is giving it all she has with one more turn to go. She's got to stretch it out. And here comes Regina.
Completely anaerobic. Penny Davidson, a terrific performance, but it's not enough. And Regina Stiefel will be the 1994 Reebok Eliminator champion. And while Penny Davidson's pass was skillful, it came too late.
Here she is, the fastest woman at the Reebok Eliminator. Not bad for a mother of two. How was it today, Regina?
I think it was my power today. I ride not so good in the corners with Penny or Missy. I have not so much practice in this race.
Was your strategy, did you want to follow her down and try to make a move at the bottom, or did you want to go fast the whole way down in hopes you could wear her out?
I go in the first part. I go fast and on the first. In the last part, I have a bit more power, and that's it.
Well, congratulations on this year, and hopefully we'll see you back next year.
Yeah, thank you.
Myles Rockwell knows what he has to do. The men's final run next. A lovely view. Welcome back, everybody, to the Reebok Eliminator at Mammoth Mountain, California, that seemingly was made for this event.
Final run, feeling a little tired. I'm just gonna have to pull some tricks.
What tricks will he pull? We're going to find out shortly, although we don't know. Jürgen Benke coming to the start line now, Myles Rockwell. Myles is the defending champion of the Reebok Eliminator. Dave, over the years, he's made a lot of dramatic comebacks.
Oh yeah, Myles is one of those guys you can never count out until it's all said and done. He's a very smart and very good tactical rider.
Myles Rockwell has got to be on the edge right now. He grew up not far from here in Fairfax, California. Now he leads the German out, but he's got to let it go. He's got to do it at this very moment.
You know, Peter, all these guys right now have left in them is just pure adrenaline. I remember when I was in the finals a couple years ago, you can't feel any pain, you can't feel anything in your arms right now. All you're doing is concentrating, and that's exactly what Myles is doing right now. He's giving it everything he has to keep Jürgen behind him. It looks like to me with him looking back, either that he's either given up or something.
Look at that. Look at this. Unbelievable. He's like, take the bait, take the bait. I can't believe it.
I think he got past the harder part of the course, and now that they're on the coasting section, I think he's hoping for Jürgen to get by him, and maybe he could suck some wind off Jürgen.
Maybe this is some of the tricks he talked about. Kind of reminds me of ski racing and the Franz Klammer run in '76. You got to be right on the edge. You got to risk disaster if you want to come up with a gold medal. They've slowed down a lot here now.
Yeah, Myles has definitely slowed down. He wants Jürgen to take the lead, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get Jürgen to go by so he can draft him.
Not only an anaerobic nightmare, but this is where the mental tactics come in too.
And you can see right now, they're not going very fast. Myles is looking around, where is Jurgen? He wants him to go by.
Still looking, still keeping the contact. A cat and mouse game, and perhaps, look at that, like he was cruising down a sidewalk in Santa Monica or something.
Right now, Myles Rockwell going into that left-hand corner. He knows that Jurgen's not going to fall for any of his tricks, and Jurgen is just going to stay in back of him and wait to make his move later on.
The only way Rockwell is going to get him to go by is if he stops riding, and I don't think that's going to happen now.
You know, I think Myles knows that he has a little bit fresher legs because he did have those 2 runs where he didn't have to do any competing, and Jurgen did. So Myles right now, it looks like to me, has just kind of said, well, if you're not going to pass me, then I'm going to make you work for it. And he's given it all he's got.
The pace is picked up now. You can see it. Very fast. Rockwell looking over his shoulder. He's opened up a gap again.
That's what Myles wanted to do. You can see he just really launched an attack and really got the wind in between him and Jurgen. So if Jurgen's going to have to catch him, he won't be able to draft him.
And all I can think of, Dave, is that the body takes such horrible punishment in this kind of condition today. It's getting rattled. They are tired. Are they going to sleep tonight?
I think Myles Rockwell right now has just got a little bit left in him in this flat road section. He wants to keep Jurgen behind him. He needs to be winning by more than 1.2 seconds if he wants to repeat as Reebok Eliminator champion.
The thing that looks good about Rockwell now is the cadence. The legs look very fresh. He's got a lead. He might be able to do it.
Exactly, Peter. Jurgen is not catching him like Myles was hoping, so that Myles has got this lead, and he's trying to just hold it out with this slight uphill coming up.
Up over the berm. Rockwell still in the lead and looks strong.
Myles Rockwell looking back and seeing that he does have that lead he wanted, coming in with 2 turns left to go before the finish, but here's the uphill.
And any mistake now is so costly. Rockwell can do it. The German, Jurgen Benke, pressing. Rockwell still maintaining contact. Looks like Benke again is coming on, coming on.
He really caught him coming on the uphill and coming in with this last turn. Myles looking back, knowing that Jurgen is catching him. He's got 2 straightaways to do it if he wants to win.
Looks like Myles is being a little bit too upright there. He's going to just suck in a lot of air right there in the chest. Not as aerodynamic as Benke, who is lower.
Myles right now looks back, sees him swap, and he knows that Benke is tired, trying to catch him. Here they come in the last corner, Peter. Myles looks like he has a big lead.
It's all down to this. Rockwell looks like he has it, but will it be enough?
No, it will not, Peter. Looks like it's going to be Jurgen Benke.
The exhausted champion with the win. I know there's somebody in there, the happy winner. Congratulations, Jurgen.
Oh my God. It was so, at one bad turn,
yeah,
and Myles took a big gap, and he was far away. And I had to close this gap, and it was so hard because he kept paddling everything he could, and he did great turns, and I don't know how much seconds I was so close.
I think when you came to the finish line, you didn't realize that, in fact, you had done it.
No way, never.
And was the hardest one event of the day the last run?
It was the hardest event in my life.
Hey, congratulations.
Thanks
a great job. Well, in ski racing, the great venue is the Hahnenkamm. In car racing, perhaps Indy. But when they talk about downhill racing, it's the Mammoth Kamikaze. Cully, I think one very important point is both bike and body took a beating today.
Well, definitely. It really changed the results. I mean, when Brian Lopes went out with that shoulder injury and Kim Saunier was out with that flat, really took a lot of the favorites out of the picture, but it was a great race.
All right, and let's talk about the men's competition. A great, great victory for the German.
Well, both races today were actually USA versus Germany, as way it came out in the men and women's final, and Jurgen Benke put it to Myles. I mean, Myles was the defending champion, and Jurgen being the World Cup champion, it was a great race, and I'm glad to see the way it came out.
And how about for the women?
The women was even better. I mean, with Kim Saunier out, nobody really thought who would be the favorite. Regina Stiefel really put it to Penny Davidson in the last race.
All right. It's been a breathtaking competition. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. For Dave Cullinan, I'm Peter Graves, saying so long from Mammoth Lakes, California. The Reebok Eliminator. Was brought to you by Reebok, who reminds you that on Planet Reebok, there are no limits. And presented by Mountain Dew. Get vertical. Wearing the winner's jerseys are 1994 Reebok Eliminator champions Jürgen Benke and Regina Stiefel, both of Germany. Hey, it's been a great time. We'll see you again next year. So long, everybody. This ESPN presentation was produced in association with Studio 5 Sports and by Reebok.